So we've got an update from our Austin 7 restoration. It's been a while since the last update, and quite a bit's gone on, as you can see from the background there. So first of all, we towed the bare chassis up to our house, and from there we lifted the bodywork on to the bare chassis, and then we towed it back down to the garage here. We didn't have anyone available to take any videos while we was lifting it on, but it weren't that interesting. So here it is. We've got the body on the chassis. So big step forward, and as you can see, we've just started. We've got a front wing there. We've just started bolting on into place. We've got all 4 wings to put on. Everything's been sprayed up for us, but not all the holes match up as they ought to do, and a few of the nuts and bolts have been sprayed in place as well, but we're working our way through those. So we've got the engine. The engine was running in our last video, wasn't it? So we've refitted the head gasket, because we did have a couple of leaks around a couple of the head bolts, the head nuts. That one in the middle there in particular, the 2 in the middle, the one nearest to the water jacket, I think was the one that was leaking the most, and one at the back as well. So yeah, it was obvious we had a head gasket, it weren't sealing properly, so we've resealed that with, can you get the paste sealed? Is it in the car? So it was actually coming out the spark plug. Oh yeah, it was coming up a spark plug as well. So we definitely needed more than just a gasket. We sealed it in with a tube of Loctite. Loctite. Oh. What's the number? Yeah, so 5990. It was recommended by a couple of guys in the club, so thanks to them for recommending it. We smeared that on both sides of the head gasket, screwed it all down, and we haven't got a torque wrench, but we've just done it to what we believe is a nice tight without over tightening, if that makes sense, and it's holding perfectly, which is awesome. So what we've done then is we've put the windscreen in, as you can see there. That's straightforward enough, just the 2 nuts and bolts at the top and a retainer that goes on the inside there. So windscreen pops out and open, which is a really cool feature. Okay, so that's the end. You can see the dashboard is an idea coming together. We've got the wiring loom coming through into the dash area here. We've got the wiring loom set in the engine bay as well. It's all in the right position. No wire connections have been made yet, but we've got the wires there, and then you have a long wire that goes back, goes underneath the car. In fact, ours is just hooked up inside the body at the moment, but that goes back to the light at the back, the red light at the back. It's got a funny name, I've forgotten what that is now. Okay, so that's all in place, and we're now just screwing bits of the bodywork back together. We've got at least 8 bolts that go through the body into the chassis to hold those on. There's a felt that goes between the 2, so not quite straightforward as you might think, but it's in place, and we're bolting that down. Got 1 or 2 bolts left to make. You see there the filler cap. We've actually got the fuel tank in place as well now, so we've got the fuel line running from the fuel tank all the way up to the fuel pump. That's down there. There's a couple of our wires for the headlamps on this near side, and the exhaust pipe. We found the exhaust pipe was actually it was in the way. It was yeah, it was fouling. We had it the wrong side of the axle. So it goes up and over the axle nicely now. We had it the wrong side of one of the cross members. It actually goes through a cross member on the chassis. We had it underneath it. So we've rectified those bits and got that as it should be. So we've now got 4 wings to put on, 2 doors, and an interior to sort out, as well as the wiring. So you can see there's plenty to do. The interior actually needs a bit more work than we'd anticipated, so we've got a quote coming from a specialist to help us out with that. If the number's too big, we'll have to bodge it ourselves, so watch this space on that one. Okay, so that's our update. That's kind of where we're at the moment. Bolting bits back on. So our next update, hopefully, we'll have a little bit more to show. There'll be a bit more going on, and some of this will be wired and in place, hopefully.